Going to open us with our beginning song, and that is Spirit is in this place. So let me get this pulled up for us here and enjoy our opening song from Denise Rosier. And now I'll light our unity candle as we begin our service, reminding us that the flame in this candle represents that flame, that spark of the divine that's in each and every one of us. And as we bring forth that spark of life, that life of the divine that is within each one, we express in our own unique individual ways. So we recognize our unity of being spiritual beings in this human experience. Welcome to the Louisville Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Rick McCollum. Thank you for being with us today. LCSL, the Louisville Center for Spiritual Living, we're an inclusive community. We recognize that there are many paths to the one God of our understanding. There are many ways to worship. There's many ways to live in an experience of the God of your understanding. So we want you to know that wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you're welcome here, and we're glad that you have joined us today. And I would like to take a moment to introduce you to a new member of our leadership team, so to speak. Kim Bebo is on the screen. She's waving, and Kim is a practitioner, and she is also a ministerial intern. So she will be graduating before too long. She only has a few more classes left. And so she has been joining us, and she will be sharing in some of the practitioner duties. And so you'll see her in our service and sharing with us. So welcome, Kim. We're glad that you're sharing time with us. Bless you. And now I want to turn it over to our practitioner of the day for our opening prayer. And that
Good morning.
would be Tammy.
Thank you. Good morning, my friends. I am so glad you have chosen to join me this morning in the awareness that there is one life, and that life is God. A life of all prosperity and abundance, of health and well-being, of light and love. I am so thankful of your blessings, Spirit. And in turn, we send our blessings out to the entire world this morning in this time of need, knowing success and treatment for all requests. Thank you, thank you, thank you, without end, thank you. I release my prayers into the order of love and law I know is God, knowing only success. As we go forward in this day, we are at peace, and so it is. Amen. Okay, I'm right back up again here with my spiritual reading for this morning. I hope you all enjoy it as I did. We pack up what we've learned so far and leave the familiar behind. No fun, that's sharing separation, but somewhere within, we must dimly know that saying goodbye to safety brings the only security we'll ever know. Richard Bach. The soul must make a complete surrender of itself to spirit. Ernest Holmes. The tale of the jumping mouse is a powerful story of surrender. He began as an ordinary mouse, scurrying through the prairie grass. But Mouse kept hearing the roar of the rushing water, so he left the safety of his home and he began his journey. He found the river and he met Frog, who advised him to crouch down and then to jump as high as he could jump. When Mouse jumped, he saw the sacred mountains, and as he descended, he fell into the river. Crawling out of the river, Mouse was furious that he was all wet. Frog asked, "What did you see when you jumped?" Mouse replied, "I saw the sacred mountains." Frog replied, "You must have a new name now then. I'm going to call you Jumping Mouse." This story is a metaphor for our spiritual journey. Jumping Mouse can no longer creep as he did before. Now he jumps and now he leaps. Like Jumping Mouse, when we commit to our spiritual journey, we can no longer creep through life. We must take the leap as we move forward. Jumping Mouse's glimpse of the sacred mountains instilled within him a need to go on yet another adventure to find his new home. Along the way, he endured disappointment, fear, and even injury, but finally made it to the sacred mountains. A letting go must occur for us to arrive at the truth of ourselves. The more we let go, the more we can see the sacred mountains of home.
Thank you, Tammy. And our special music today, follows this theme of letting go. This is Reverend Michael Gott, and he is singing I Release and I Let Go. Are you only here for God? Are you willing to release and let go? Are you really ready to let Spirit run your life? Think about that question before you just say yes. What might it mean to really release and let go? It means that we get to leave behind what we know, the familiar. And that can be scary for some people. This question does require some thought. I think about the story in the Bible where Jesus invited people to come and follow him. He got all kinds of answers, not just a yes. One person said, I've taken a wife and I must go care for her. Another said, I have a family and I must provide for them. One person said, I just bought a field and I have to go to inspect it. Letting Spirit run your life means your ego will have a few things to say about being put on the back burner. We're continuing our series today on visioning with a talk titled, release and let go. Last week, we looked at the first question in our visioning practice. What is Spirit's highest vision of itself expressing through me? And we listened for the answer. Once we catch that glimpse of Spirit's vision for us, it moves us into the action of asking, Spirit, what must I release for this vision to emerge? You see, a vision from Spirit is something greater than what we really are experiencing right now. There's unlimited possibilities. And so to embrace something much bigger than what we know right now, there are things that we must release in order for that vision to emerge. Michael Beckwith says that 100% of spiritual growth is in letting go. 100% of spiritual growth is in letting go. Releasing and letting go of ideas, beliefs, attachments that no longer serve us. This will create an openness, a spaciousness in our minds. Letting go removes obstacles and impediments in the way of living the vision. That vision that Spirit has given us. Once we have caught Spirit's vision for ourselves, we find that releasing and embracing are where our work lies when it comes to manifesting the vision. I'm going to say that again. I think this is so important to realize that once we have caught Spirit's vision for ourselves, for our life, we will find that releasing and embracing are where our work lies when it comes to manifesting the vision. So we don't just keep asking the same question to see the vision, but we move from after we've listened to the vision, seen the vision, we ask, what must we release for the vision to emerge? Releasing really is deep spiritual work. It's not easy for us to release the familiar. And it's mental work that we must do to give up what we know and to step into the unknown. This requires releasing and forgiving ourselves and others. Here's an example of releasing, or in one case, not releasing. There were two monks who had taken a vow of celibacy, and they're standing at a muddy river, ready to cross the river. Just then, a beautiful young woman in fine clothes comes upon them. She also needed to cross the river. One of the monks, not wanting her to ruin her clothing, offers to carry her across the river. And so he does. He puts her down on the other side, and the two monks continue their journey. Hours later, hear this, hours later, the second monk says to the first, I can't be quiet any longer. You know you shouldn't have carried that woman across the river. You know it's a violation of your vow to not touch a woman. The first monk said, I let her go hours ago. Why can't you? Have you ever held on to a thought for hours or maybe even days, and that thought wasn't serving to help you express more spirit? You see, the monk that carried the woman across was showing compassion, was being helpful. The other one, living by the letter of the law, not releasing his thought of, why are you doing this, was being limited. This is a spiritual practice of releasing and letting go. And we call it a spiritual practice because we don't always do it perfectly. So we get to keep practicing. This is where self-forgiveness comes in. When we become aware of some thought, resentment, or belief that limits us from expressing the goodness of God, we can forgive ourselves, and we can move our focus to the good, expand the compassion and love that is flowing from us. My first point today is that spiritual growth cannot take place until we're open to learning by catching Spirit's vision about what we need to let go of, what we need to release. Through visioning for what needs to be released, we set the stage for receiving greater good, which includes going beyond our beliefs and attachments and allowing change to take place. As we release untruths or think limitations, we automatically make room for being lifted out of wrong tendencies, out of discord and illness. Part of our work is to release the things that limit us from expressing the fullness of Spirit. Are you allowing Spirit to run your life, to give you the ideas and the impress of what to do each and every day, to live a full and free life? Are you listening to Spirit, or are you listening to something else? My second point is that while it's not easy to release our troubles or give up the things that we resent or regret, things we don't like about ourselves, we can ask for help. So we must ask for help and then listen. Listen for Spirit's highest ideas on what needs to be released, on what needs to be forgiven in our life. I saw a story about a woman who was shopping at a department store. She was in the home decoration section and she heard a crash. Then she heard glass breaking, and then more crashes and more glass breaking. As she moved toward the noise, she saw a woman down on the floor pulling together pieces of broken glass that had been knocked off of the shelves. Just then, the store manager came running over and helped the woman to stand up. The woman said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I will pay for all of this." The store manager said, "That's not necessary. We have insurance for things like this. I just want to make sure that you're okay." The woman who was observing this interaction said she immediately thought of how God does this for us. When we have something broken in our life, when we make a mess out of things, God steps in with its insurance, meaning its compassion, forgiveness, and sets us on a new path. We must forgive ourselves to move forward. If this woman in the store had not accepted what the manager said, "Don't worry, you don't have to pay for this because we have insurance," if she would have insisted on paying for it, she would have kept herself the victim rather than being set on a new path, being forgiven. Do we forgive others and ourselves? Or are we holding on to limitations because somehow we think that that's what we deserve? What needs to be released and forgiven in your life in order for Spirit's vision to come forth? The third point is that spiritual growth is not about getting something. It's about letting go. Letting go of that which no longer serves us and releasing the power within us that has been blocked. As we begin to see and describe the vision of what needs to be released, we find that we catch even more insights from Spirit, which ultimately manifest in our life. We are open. We're open to Spirit, and we continue to release. I've done an activity in some classes with the students, and I have each person think about things that they wish to release, and then take several pieces of paper. They'll write one idea on a piece of paper. Each idea gets its own separate piece of paper. And then once they've written the idea on it, what they want to release, they wad it up and throw it into a basket. We discuss what it means to release these ideas and beliefs. What does it look like to let ideas go that aren't serving you? To make room for Spirit to reveal something new. Then I pray over the basket for release of each of these things. One by one, we take out a piece of paper. We bless that limitation, that idea or belief that had been held, and we release it and throw it away. Once we have removed all the limitations that we find in the basket, we look in and see there's a beautiful plant in that basket. But it had been covered up by all of those limiting beliefs and ideas that we put in the basket. Now we have the perfection of Spirit that's revealed. That's just like our life. We have the perfection of Spirit, the seed of perfection inside each one of us, at the center of each one of us. But we cover that up with our limiting beliefs and ideas. And it's only as we release our limitations, those things that are not fully Spirit, that we find that perfection, that beauty of Spirit. On page 418 of the Science of Mind textbook, Ernest says, ignorance stays with us until the day of enlightenment, until our vision toward Spirit broadens and casts out the image of a no longer useful littleness. What we now experience, we may cease experiencing if we have the will and the imagination to set our vision in an opposite direction and hold it there. This tells me that it's not only important to catch Spirit's vision for what needs to be released, but we must do our spiritual work. And part of that is keeping our focus on the vision and not on the fear that we have in releasing what we know. I bet all of us have known people who have stayed in a bad situation because that's what they know. It's what's familiar to them. And they fear the unknown more than the bad situation. This is like letting those pieces of paper cover up the beautiful plant. If we don't do our work of releasing, we'll not be able to find that pure joy of Spirit that lives through us and the abundant energy and flow that is available in our life. As we work to release what does not serve us, we increase our receptivity of Spirit's vision for us. So as we release, we're more receptive to Spirit's vision. In Living the Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes says, this is an affirmation that you should say 100 times a day. Declare, good and more good is mine, and ever-increasing good is mine. There's no limit to the good which is mine. Everywhere I go, I see this good. I feel it. I experience it. It crowds itself against me, flows through me, expresses itself in me, and multiplies itself around me. Breathe that affirmation in. Breathe it in. Good and more good is mine, and ever-increasing good is mine. There's no limit to the good which is mine. Everywhere I go, I see this good. I feel it. I experience it. It crowds itself against me, flows through me, and expresses itself in me, and multiplies itself around me. As you hear this affirmation, does your heart and mind say yes? Or does your body not resonate with such an affirmation? Pay attention to how this makes you feel. If your body does not resonate with this, I dare say you have some work to do to release a belief that's holding you back from releasing and letting go, like Michael Gott sang in our special music, letting Spirit run my life. I'll close today with a story that I think sums up the need to release the past and live in that new vision each day. Here is a man who was able to let go of blame and to embrace a different life than he had planned. Yusuf Olsen was an immigrant from Norway. He was the janitor in a Lutheran church in Minnesota. A new minister arrived. The new minister decreed that all employees should be able to read and write English because he wanted everyone to be able to handle phone calls and write down information for him in his absence. Poor Olsen, he had never learned to read and write English. Despite his cheerful pleas to the minister, he was fired from his job as a janitor. This was devastating for Olsen. He was bitterly disappointed. But then he pulled himself up and he hitchhiked to Seattle from Minnesota. He got a job in a fish cannery where it wouldn't matter if he could read and write. After a time, he let go of blaming the pastor for firing him. He forgave that pastor and he grew to enjoy his work. He later began working on a fishing boat, and in time he had enough money to buy his own boat. As time went on, Olsen's natural thrift and good business sense earned him more boats. Then he had the opportunity to buy a very big fleet, and he recognized it as a good business opportunity. He found himself going to the bank for a loan. After viewing all of Olsen's vast assets, the banker agreed to give him a loan, and he drew up the papers. He handed them to Olsen, and Olsen replied, "I'm sorry, but I don't know how to read and write." The astonished banker looked at him in disbelief and declared, "Oh, Mr. Olsen, I'm astounded. Just think where you would be today if you could read and write." "Well," said Olsen, "I'd probably be a janitor in a Lutheran church in Minnesota." Can you see how we must be willing to release the life that we have planned, what we know, to live the life that is Spirit's vision for us, to step into something even greater than what we currently have? God is always leading and expanding us to newer visions. Your homework for this week is to ask, what must I release for Spirit's vision to emerge in my life? What must I release for Spirit's vision to emerge in my life? Ask this question. Ask it every day and listen for the answer. Let that intuition that comes up from inside of you be your guide. That is Spirit speaking. Listen to what Spirit tells you needs to be released so that its vision can emerge in your life. Let us pray. We pause and breathe in these messages. Thank you, Spirit, for all that you are doing in our life. And as we look to you to find that vision, we ask what needs to be released in order for that divine vision to come and emerge in our life. What do we need to let go of for our own spiritual growth? Help us, Spirit, to ask for help, to be open to the guidance and the intuition that comes as we meditate on this question. And we know that spiritual growth in our lives is not about acquiring more, but it's about letting go of those things that limit us and being free in the Spirit. Being here just to allow God to guide our life, to run our life. And so I speak my word of blessing on each one of us today, that as we contemplate what is Spirit's saying to me that I need to release, that we each find our own answers, and that we have the ability to be bold and to step into that new future, to release the life that we think we have, and allow Spirit's vision to come forth in us. So with great gratitude, I release this prayer of blessing into that law that always says yes, and seal it by saying, and so it is. Amen. Namaste.
All right, it's time for our prosperity affirmation this morning, and I'll say it, and if you'll repeat it with me afterwards. Pat's holding up our basket that we would normally be passing around as a group, and I guess that day's looking closer and closer. Okay, our prosperity affirmation. When I trust the universe, I am happy, prosperous, and well. And if you'll join me, when I trust the universe, I am happy, prosperous, and well. And I would like to say that this morning I donated via PayPal. It's very simple to do online, or you can click the link in the chat, mail your check to the Center for Spiritual Living at Post Office Box 43958, Louisville 40253. And we appreciate all your support because you keep us here together every Sunday morning, and we thank you for that. Also, announcements. Just to remind you, after our closing song, stay with us for the richness of sharing and a little Q&A if needed. Also, we want to remind you that you can join in group prayer where participants' prayer requests are taken by the POD, which would be Practitioner of the Day. But always know every Sunday, whether it's said or not, your POD is always holding your prayers and needs in their hearts for you. Vernon will put those who remain after sharing for prayer work in a common breakout room. As always, your practitioners are also available for private prayer work on request anytime. And now, benediction, Reverend Rick.
Thank you, Tammy, for our benediction today. In honor of St. Patrick's Day coming up this week, I would like to give a blessing from St. Patrick. May the strength of God pilot us. May the wisdom of God instruct us. The hand of God protect us. The word of God direct us this day and forevermore. Amen. And our closing song, I Am Love.
part of me. I am peace, I am joy, I am love. You are peace, you are joy, you are love. You are peace, you are joy, you are love. You are in harmony with everything. God is all you see. You are peace, you are joy, you are love. We are peace, we are joy, we are love. We are peace, we are joy, we are love. We are in harmony with everything. God is all we see. We are peace, we are joy, we are love.